out to a really good buddy of mine that I grew up with, and I said, "Hey, let's make our own." And
Yeah.
we we literally hit the road about 4 hours later and met up with the third guy that we thought would be a good fit, and he was all for it. And another buddy of ours was living in Singapore at the time. We called
Mhm.
him up. He loved the idea, and we reached out to a distillery in Jalisco. Um, we partnered up with them. They had somebody that was representing them in Houston.
Mhm.
So we told them, hey, we want to build a tequila, and we don't know anything about it. We don't know the process, but here's our thought. They loved what our concept was. And so we essentially created a spreadsheet of expressions that we were after. And they started sending us multiple bottles, boxes of bottles of just samples. And you know what we started doing is hosting parties, and there were tasting parties of tequila. And so the four of us live in different cities at that point, in different parts of the globe, which is crazy. And
Mhm.
we loved the process, and we were down to the final four, and we said, hey, why don't we push and choose one? And it was just hard. It dragged on for a couple of weeks, and we said, you know what? Why don't we let people sample these final four añejos and rate and vote on these? And so the people's award-winning tequila will be crowned Tequila de la Gente, which means tequila of the people.
Okay.
And so that's where this all stemmed from. It's a passion project that started over 4 years ago, and so it's we've been through a lot, through COVID, post COVID, a lot of changes, a lot of competition out there in the market. And
Mhm. Yeah, I said, well, you say COVID and post COVID, and I was like, knock on wood, I didn't get COVID during that, the first year that where it was a spike, and I think it was because I kept a steady stream of bourbon in my system. So, and the virus was like, nope, not going in there. But don't try it, folks. Really don't try it. But so you guys, I mean, 4 years ago, it's like you probably had something in mind, like you have this flavor that you're trying to fit, and you're going through bottle after bottle after bottle, going, that's not it, that's not it. And I mean, trying these, and you said the word añejo. Is that a type of tequila? Because I know most people think tequila is it's got this taste. You just better have it with salt and lime and get it down, or it's only good in a margarita or a paloma or something like that. But you said you were going for a sipping tequila and a nice high-end tequila. This is all four of them are delicious. They are sipping tequilas, and they don't taste like that low-end tequila that you would, just order in the bar and knock back shots.
yes, that was the goal. So we're all fans of sipping a bourbon or a whiskey, and we wanted to be able to enjoy tequila just the same. So we are all from uh, Mexican roots,
Hmm.
um, either first, second, third generation. And so we understood a bit more about the process that it takes to make tequila. So by the time, from the point that this process starts of growing the agave, to cultivating it, to processing it, to aging it, you're talking a minimum of 8 years, minimum.
Wow.
And and you're talking over 10 years for an extra añejo, which is aged 3+ years. This añejo is aged for 15 months. This particular one that we're selling. And so for us, we wanted to really pay tribute to agave, to Mexico, to the roots of tequila, because I'll tell you, when I see somebody shoot tequila and take a lime or take a sip of a beer or something to forget it, to me, it's a bit of a kick in the nuts, if you will, because it's like, hey, you know how much went into this,
Right.
and, and people want to sip it and forget it. It's like party time,
Yeah.
drop it and go, and it's something that we appreciate more than that, and we
Mm.
wanted to share that with other people.
Yeah, it definitely is a, this is worth sipping. actually, there's a comedian, I think it's Ron White. He used to drink bourbon or whiskey on stage, and then he switched and he drinks tequila. He drinks a dark tequila on stage, so he's sipping tequila as well. But I mean, I've tried all four because you told me that's what the direction said. No, people, I didn't take a whole shot. I had a little sip of each one, poured it in the glass, let it open up a little bit. Actually, I can't wait because over the weekend I'm gonna add just a little small ice cube to it, kind of like I do with my bourbon and my whiskey, and just see if it opens up and what it does to the flavor. But all of them have one thing. It's similar. Maybe it's the añejo. Am I saying that right?
Yes, sir.
Correct me if I'm wrong, please.
You're
But
good.
it's like there's this light. I mean, it's almost like a little hint of vanilla in there. And maybe honey, I don't know, but one has a little hint of honey, but they all seem to have this underlying tone of vanilla. Is that from the plant, or did you guys add that something like a little vanilla flavor in there?
So that is something that you'll get from the barrel. So
Okay.
the barrels that we're using were used for bourbon, and they're reused for tequila, and which is the case for many. So
Mhm.
different types of barrels that were previously used for something are then used for tequila, which gives it an extra something. And so
Yeah.
the common I guess flavors that you'll find are because of either the plant or in this case the barrel.
Okay. Okay. And I don't want you to give away your secret, what ingredients, but I'll tell you what that is. That's like a nice undertone. And out of the four, I mean, they're so smooth. They're full of flavor. And I mean, if I had to go by, I'm going to tell you on the one, my two favorites were G and T out of them all. So I'm going to go on the site and like you guys asked, hopefully I could still give a rating for it. But then I told you that like T almost is like the D and L combined together. So those two of them are a little like the L and T, they're a little smoky. They got a little more smoke to them. And they're so darn good. These are so good. So good. Oh my goodness. How long was this iteration? I mean, how many times were you like, oh my gosh, I think we've got it. And then you're like, nope, no, we're not there yet. We may have to drink 50 more bottles to find that flavor just right.
Yeah, we weren't mad at the process, I'll tell you that. It was quite fun. So
Yeah.
it was several months of this. We'd create these profiles and they'd go back to the lab. Where they affect flavor is sometimes filtration process and sometimes ethanol content, which,
Mhm.
we all learned through this process. And um, the distillery reached back out to us after the fact, and they were grateful to us because they said this is the first time that they've had a client come in and challenge them on the level that we did, where we're really trying to dial in what we're trying to put out there. I
Mhm.
mean, there are some distilleries that have their process, which is old school, and they create this tequila and they put it out, and that's it. That's all there is to it. They don't have varieties of flavors or anything. I mean, the flavor is what it is, and you can either love it or hate it. And
Mhm.
so what's happened now is they're able to do so many more things with that flavor profile that people either love or hate.
Mhm. Well, it was,
Just because you mentioned
I,
it,
yeah.
we sent this to the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, all 4 bottles, and all 4 bottles were awarded. And 2 of them were awarded the top award, which is double gold. And T is a double gold. So your palate agrees with the judges. I'll say that.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were really proud of that. It's a box full of award-winning tequila, and this is blind tasting.
Mhm.
And in order to get a double gold, all judges have to rate it a double gold. If one does it, you're bounced back down to silver. So we got 2 silver, 2 double golds in the box.
Wow. Wow. I'm impressed that I picked double gold. Woohoo.
Good juice.
Phew, I'm glad I said that. Oh boy, this could have been a short interview. He would have been like, nope, bye. Well, so obviously you guys had have maybe still have other jobs, had other jobs when you
Yeah.
started this venture. And what kind of things? I mean, you're starting a tequila business.
Yeah.
That there's got to be like a lot of hoops to jump through and processes, not just only in, okay, let's figure out to get the flavor profile right, the packaging correct, but I mean on the business side, that's a lot. And you guys aren't, you, as we were talking right before we started recording, you guys don't all live in the same city together.
Right.
So it's not like you can just get together in the garage, on a weeknight or on the weekend and be like, all right, let's go over this. I mean, how'd you do it? What were some of the, mountains that you had to climb over?
Well, there have been a few. I'll tell you that. And we're all obviously responsible adults, successful in our own ways. I own a trucking business that I've been running for a number of years. It's essentially what pays the bills, if you will. And Daniel Vasquez, one of the partners, he and I have a patent together in oil and gas. We've been working on launching that project for a number of years. And so Jorge Rodriguez, he's another partner. I grew up with Jorge. We grew up in church together since we were about 4 years old. Um, so he has a successful construction business in Houston, very detail oriented guy. And then you have Adrian Rodriguez. He's in Dallas, Texas. Well, he comes from the spirits industry. So he's our insider. He's our expert that has helped us and guided us along the way. And so
Okay.
we all kind of brought our own piece. Daniel is really good on the branding and marketing side. Like you can see the box and a lot of these details, that's Daniel. Like he is top notch. I'm more of the numbers guy. I'm a mechanical engineer. I enjoy numbers, and my business has done all right over the years because of it. So, we've all been disciplined to get here. One of the biggest things was taking off.
Yeah.
When we first started and we went to apply for the trademark Tequila de la Gente, immediately received a letter from attorneys from The Rock himself. And, he's a big guy, the people's champ, I think is what he called himself, or what people called him when he was wrestling. And
Hmm.
so kind of coined that term, the people's tequila, because they wanted to put it on shirts and whatnot, but you can't do that for a brand or a bottle of tequila, right? So
Right.
that kind of went by the wayside. It took quite a bit of time, and we worked through some struggles there. We're trademarking in Mexico, and we're learning that in order to even create this tequila, you have to get a blessing from another group in Mexico called the CRT. And so
Oh, wow.
we've learned a lot along the way about processes. And, in the States, if you pay somebody to do a job, they can execute it right away. When you're dealing with Mexico, forget about it. I mean, that's just not how they function. You're another person in line, and they'll get to you when they get to you. And so
Hmm.
where we thought it was just going to fly, and we had this Gantt chart detailed. Daniel is a spreadsheet nerd. He's so excited about the timeline. It's like, just, you know, toss that in the trash. Forget about it. You're going to work on a timeline because you're working through so many groups that is going to be dependent on each of those entities. And so, I mean, we launched an e-commerce business online, and so we had to work through a distributor, and then we had to move product. And so we're on both coasts. We're between Cali and Florida. We were in New Jersey. Um, and what we learned was that another hurdle is when you're playing in e-commerce, it's all money for marketing and ads. And you can spend 1,000 to make 100. You can spend 2,000 to make 100 if the ads are no good. I mean, it's really
Hmm.
interesting. So there have been a ton of hurdles along the way. Recently, just last month, I believe, we signed up with a distributor in the Texas Panhandle area in West Texas. So now we're in local stores in Texas, and that's kind of our first step. Um, this process of a tasting kit
Hmm.
is going to be something that eventually will end. So we want
Oh,
people's
oh.
feedback so that you can come in and say, hey, I like this and this is my favorite. And then when we go to launch, that's what
Mhm.
we're launching with. So we know we're putting a product out that people have already tasted and voted on, and voted for. And so this is the first time this has been done. Crowdsourcing has never been done for a tequila.
Okay.
We've been excited about that and the feedback, like you've been giving feedback. I mean, it's awesome to see somebody else appreciate the product that we've worked so hard on.
Mhm. Oh, it's so good. And I'm actually disappointed that you're going to get rid of these tasting kits. I thought this was part of, I'm like, I love this idea.
Yeah.
I mean, if to be able to sample it and taste it like this and then order, I mean, I would order this in this box. I'd just be like, and I know that you get into the different states, like certain states, you're not allowed to ship alcohol to
Correct.
but Georgia is not one of those. Thank goodness. So I'd be excited. I mean, if I can go buy this tequila de la Gente online and get this, even if it was a 2-pack or a 4-pack like this, I would do it for sure. Because I'll tell you, I go to my local liquor store, and this is going to take us into our next spot because I want to jump ahead a little bit. There's an entire aisle. It's probably 60 feet long,
Yeah.
3 shelves high, and it's just tequila.
Yep.
First of all, you don't even know where to start
Yep.
if you don't know anything about tequila. Second of all, how do you find the one that you're looking for without walking and walking and walking and trying to find it? And third, how the hell do you get yourself on a shelf?
Yeah.
So that's the part that I want to know about from you. You just said you finally got into a place in Texas there, a liquor store. Was this the goal all along for you guys? And how many doors are you knocking on, or do you go through a distributor to that they distribute the tequila for you?
Yeah, so the federal laws are very strict about the process of handling liquor. Um, so yeah, we sign up with a distributor and they sell to stores in
Hmm.
your area, and then you go and buy from that store. And so again, we knew about this before because our insider, gave us some insight, and we have another person that we've hired that has helped us along the way, also just kind of coaching us, helping us understand from a cost perspective, how does this work? When I go and pay $300 for the bottle at my local liquor store, how much is the actual owner of this brand making? They're not making $300, I'll tell you that.
Hmm.
So it's marked up 30%, it's marked up another 30%. And so the real cost to produce is obviously much lower than that. It's the idea that we're selling, right? So our intention was initially, hey, let's launch this añejo, people are going to love it. And then let's launch with a blanco, people are going to love that. And then let's launch with a reposado, and people are going to love that. Well, when you start getting into the cost analysis and really, okay, there are certain groups of people, and I'd consider you to be in one of these 3 groups that we have kind of analyzed, that aren't afraid to go and spend the money because they're into the experience. They don't want
Hmm.
to waste the time going and buying 1,000 different tequilas. They want to say, hey, how can I simplify this process? Because I do want a tequila. And this is a solution for you. And so our plan in the future is potentially to put out a kit that now has, maybe all 4 flavors, añejo, extra añejo, reposado, and blanco. Or our plan is to do this with an extra añejo. Why? Because the price point makes sense for an extra añejo. Now, when you go buy a blanco, you don't necessarily want to go pay $120 to buy a blanco. A blanco is something you'll put in your ranch water. It's
Hmm.
something some people shoot a blanco or they'll shoot a reposado. So those are a little lower in cost. And
Hmm.
so then there's a cost restriction to supplying a kit at our cost,
Hmm.
and then profitability that doesn't quite make sense. So it doesn't make as much sense for a blanco and a reposado. It makes more sense for an extra añejo. And so we have kits in hand ready to be filled for an extra añejo when that time comes. Currently, we're in stores full kit. And I was excited last week, as a matter of fact, because I got to know one of the owners. There's a store here in Odessa, Texas called Boomtown. And, this is the oil capital of the world. So it makes sense to kind of have that idea behind it.
Right.
Anyway, she took a chance and she put it in her store, and she sold out, and she placed her second order last week. And then I started having messages to me like, hey, where can I get it? Hey, where can I find it? And so this is a different dynamic. Initially, our goal was to be a smart tequila own or brand, I should say, a tequila brand, because I could tell you who our consumers are, our repeat buyers are, demographics, age group, interests, and now you kind of become a data company. So when I launch my next spirit, I already know who to go to. And I keep growing those groups. And so, again, we're kind of composed of different minds that have kind of helped us get here. And so we're excited about what's to come, for sure.
Fantastic. That's a lot. That is a lot to look forward to. And I'm so sorry you're telling me you're like, and this is an añejo, and you'd want to use a blanco or a spada.
Reposado.
Reposado for making a cocktail. Well, we did use your añejo.
There you go.
And look at that. So that's
Cheers.
that is a Paloma right there. Right? But that is I guarantee that's probably
That's a good looking
best
drink.
Paloma you'll ever have in your life. She does a fantastic job. I got to have a sip. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm tasting our reposado. So we have samples currently of our reposado and our blanco. So we've been doing it again, and we've been super excited. Our goal is to come out with full-size bottles this summer. So we expect to start in the Texas market and expand from here. So we really want to reach out to more distributors that are going to put us out there, because we feel like this is a product that people are excited about and will get excited about. And obviously that's the purpose of talking to you today.
So Crooks Market in Sonoy, Georgia, that's where I usually go to buy my liquor, but that's just a liquor store. I think I'm not sure if the liquor distributors are the same as the beer distributors here in town, or in Georgia. I know one of them is Liberator. I know a couple people who like Liberator. We had another gentleman on the show, and that's who he was for his Willie Super Brew. It's a hard seltzer. So they finally got distribution in Georgia, and they went through. He told me it was through Liberator. So I'm waiting for it to show up on the shelf somewhere. I don't even know where to go right now. There's so much. I mean, there's so much that you have to deal with. Like you said, federal regulations. You just don't go knocking on every liquor store's door and going, "Hey, you want to buy bottles?" You have to develop a partnership, and sometimes multiple partnerships, because not all distributors cover the entire state either. They cover regions. So first you've got to be able to sell it to them and have them excited at the same time. And then through your sampling and everything else, and as you said, prove that all the data that you have, it's like, listen, we have a high concentration of people in this area who want this. So find the distributor, get them to agree, and then they got to go out, and they're selling a ton of different products, right? So it's not like they're going to show up at every liquor store or restaurant and do a tasting for you. I'm assuming you have to do that on your side, and maybe the distributor joins you there to see how popular it is and that it's working.
Right.
And or the restaurants too, right? So
yes.
You can't sell directly to restaurants either, can you?
No, I can't sell to anybody.
Yeah.
That's clear. So I have to go through a distributor to go that route. The e-commerce space is a different distributor, and geographical locations are sometimes, like you said, separated by counties. They're separated by regions, and in our case, Texas is so huge that they're distributors just for portions of the state. And so these people were somebody that Adrian, one of our partners, knew from years past working in the beer industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, these beer guys are hustlers. They go out there and they don't already have 100 different tequila brands to push. So
Right.
we may be there one or two, and so we get much higher visibility because of it. And so for us, it's a huge positive to work with somebody like that. They took a risk with us, and I'll tell you an interesting story. All four partners traveled to Amarillo, Texas, which is their headquarters. It's called Reed Distribution.
Okay.
And so we met with Reed up there. Great guys, a beautiful facility. They have this party room, obviously, where they introduce new products and they host all sorts of parties for the community. And so they had us in there, and we kind of told the story. And we hit liquor stores, no joke, sold out of the product they ordered in an hour and a half.
Wow.
They said they've never seen anything like it before. So they put in another order and cleaned out our inventory from New Jersey. And last I heard, they were already 50% of the way through that. This all just took off last month. So we're excited about it. I mean, what we want is let's sell out, let's make more,
Mm-hmm.
let's go hard. Our goal, like I said, is this summer, full-size bottles are going to hit the shelves in the Panhandle, Texas, and West Texas, and we plan to expand. I mean, I'm excited to bring this to Las Vegas. That's my playground. So I'm already talking to people up there and have them, excited about it. So yeah, we're planting seeds.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So you guys, you had a runway outside, we all have a runway when we start a business and a timeline, which Mexico just messed up your whole timeline, as you said. It's going to work at their pace. But I mean, with your runway and amount of, you got capital, you got a runway and you got a timeline. How much time did you, the four of you, give yourself? You're like, if we're not at this point, if we don't hit this milestone by this time, we got to cut it. We're done. We can't go any further.
That's not an option. What we have here is a home run. I mean,
Mhm.
if you taste this stuff, and again, I mean, I call myself a tequila snob or tequila connoisseur, call it what you will. I love
Mhm.
tequila. And so this is a product that I know needs to be in people's hands. I know that, actually tasting this is going to make people want to have more, have a bottle or buy a bottle. This is the kind of product that we need at our local restaurants. We have some nice restaurants. I look forward to that day, right? Where I go in and I say, hey, I want a ranch water with tequila de la gente.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, it's not an option for me because I know that we can be successful even on a small scale.
Mhm.
So I think you have to. Interesting. I was on a trip. We were on a cruise last year in Vietnam. My wife and my two little boys and myself, and met a random guy, and he was in marketing, and he said he had done a ton of work for uh, Facebook and Twitter, and he named some big names, and I didn't know the guy. Anyway, he said, "So, what's your goal?" I mean, what do you mean? How many bottles do you want to sell? Are you going to be the small guy with high costs? Are you going to be the high volume, low margins? I mean, who are you trying to be? And so that was really the first time I was challenged to say, hey, hold on, like let's think
Mhm.
about this. But all of us being from West Texas, that's kind of been the passion source, right? The goal to start here. Let's start the snowball effect and grow organically. We have some investors that came on early, friends and family, and we have a second round of investment that we're kind of working through right now. We plan to close next month, and
Mhm.
that'll really help us, launch this product in the current region. And really, what we're hoping is spread throughout Texas and Florida through another distributor that we're talking to. And
Mhm.
so you'll be able to buy it online, but we really want you to be able to just walk up to your local store and pick it up. And it may take a little bit longer working organically to do that. We're not celebrities. We don't have those deep pockets like they may have. We don't have a team of people. We are the team.
Mhm.
And so we're, we're putting in hard work on a daily, weekly basis to keep this thing going. So
So there was never we're not gonna, once we start this, we're gonna see it to the end no matter what kind of thing.
yeah, you got to kind of question what's the end, right? I mean,
Right. I mean,
yes.
we
So
ran out of we have $0 in the bank account and we have nobody else investing.
yeah,
That's kind of the end. I mean,
if
that,
that
that could be
happens,
it. And we got 50,000 bottles of tequila in the warehouse. We got a problem.
well, then it's time for a big party. I mean, at
Right.
that point,
Yeah. Yeah. $100 a head kind of party to make
yeah,
up for the
exactly.
money.
So, I've been absolutely blessed. Like I said, in my company, I have trucking that we do for oil field services, and just like any company, we've hit some snags. Clients
Mhm.
not paying for 6 months to the tune of $750,000, and I'm a small mom and pop, and so we've been challenged major. And what I've learned is that you got to keep pushing.
Mhm.
My favorite word in business is pivot. You have this plan and it doesn't work out, pivot, but keep moving
Mhm.
forward. And that's kind of been our thing. We wanted a year-long campaign. We launched in February last year online, and then this year we
Mhm.
hit stores. Um, and really hitting that retail market helped us propel sales. I mean, we started cleaning out inventory. Like I said, New Jersey is cleaned out, and Florida is the next on the list. And um, I think the full size bottles are going to follow. What we're hearing now, and we're visiting, like you said, I'm going with a distributor personally, and I'm visiting places, restaurants, bars, whatever, and they're excited about this full size bottle.
Mhm.
A restaurant or bar may pick this up and sell it as a flight,
Yeah.
but they're really excited about getting bottles right. If this becomes the go-to tequila for ranch waters, they're ordering these things by the truckload or cases, right? So you
Mhm.
get six to a case instead of one bottle in one order online that we had to pay ads to get to.
Right.
And so the game has changed for us, and it's really, we're on level 2 right now.
Some bottle, I mean, tequila bottles are probably the ones that jump out the most on the shelf, any shelf that they're in, because people get really creative with the labels or the shape of the bottle or and so I could see where sometimes you look when you're in a restaurant and you look up and it's like, did they buy that just because, is it there for decoration? Who's really going to drink that one? But when you know that it's a good quality product, you're like, yes. And I think a restaurant is a good place to sample a lot of, because you're not committed to a whole bottle. Yeah, you're going to pay the markup, but any type of beverage you want to try across the board, a restaurant's a great place to try it. It's going to cost you more, but you're not stuck with a whole bottle if you didn't like it. I will tell you this, folks. I don't care if you buy any of these tequilas, you're going to love them, and they from the light. And I know you guys are trying. Are you really going to get rid of? You're just going to keep one out of four of these, or you're going to keep them all, or at least like, hey, we're going to use this one later. Because I have two that are my absolute favorite, and then the other two are right below it. So I'm like, oh, and one's really light, and the other one's a little darker and a little heavier. Like one's got that smoke to it. The one that you said got the double gold. That's a nice dark. You get a little more of the, for lack of a better word, an alcohol flavor to it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, okay, you're drinking a little, it's good. You're drinking a little alcohol, like you're drinking liquor, but nothing that's overpowering. You're not like, oh my gosh, it's burning my mouth. I'm just knocking this back. The flavor of it, it just opens up in your mouth. It is absolutely delicious. That little bit of, there's a hint of smokiness to it. There's a hint of, that I keep saying vanilla, and it's probably something else, but it tastes like vanilla. And then your other one, the first one that I went to, I didn't do them quite in alphabetical order, but I had G first, and that was just as smooth, but it was a lighter flavor, um, and there was no smokiness to it, but it was like a little bit of honey and vanilla, and there was something else that comes out, at least on my palate, and it's just like, nope, these are definitely sipping tequilas because they don't taste like a blanco. They don't taste like a, see, I can't even say it. Reciparo,
Just repo.
repo.
That's for short. That works.
Okay. Okay. Or a repo. I mean, those are the lower end that taste like the familiar tequila taste that people are used to. This is high end. This is quality. And you're going to sit down and just pour a little in a glass and just sip on it and enjoy it for what it is. Like you would scotch or a good whiskey or a good bourbon. I mean, dynamite. I'll go around. I'll sell your product for you. I'll be your spokesperson.
That's what we need. We need to be out there in Georgia. Let's go to Atlanta. I'll tell you. Yeah, I'm excited about the next steps, but one of the things I'll tell you, since you're finding your favorites and you're finding these particulars in each one, when you go and scan the barcode or the QR code on the box, it walks you through the entire process, right? So now you're going to taste it, you're going to smell it, you're going to rate it based on those things, and at the end, it assigns a certain value to the tequila, and it tells you which one you picked as your favorite, and it also tells you what those flavors are. So that'll give you, some insight to, oh, okay, that's what it is. Oh, that's interesting. I never would have guessed that. Another thing we did.
This is the guys on the front right there, and
yes, that's us.
The one who's styling and profiling, that is Albert with the hat. But you're talking about on the back of my box. See at the bottom in the middle, there's a QR code. I got to go scan that and do this whole taste test part.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. You do that. It'll tell you pairings of food to go through if you want to go light or heavy. We have a playlist there that's little Latin kind of music to it.
Better have a little Los Lobos playing at least, right?
What's that?
You got no play little Los Lobos in there in the background?
Maybe they might be in there. They might be in there.
So you got some little music playing in the background, and how did you guys come up with that? I mean, this whole thing, this isn't like a little, this is a full-blown experience. And I mean, I think what made you decide to take this approach to get yourself into the market? Let me ask you that, because I think this marketing plan is bar none fantastic, over the top.
I'll tell you, you said it earlier. We wanted the liquid to come first. We want you to be interested in this liquid. I honestly, we're designing the bottle. We're at the final stages about to hit go. And I even told the guys, I wouldn't mind putting it in random different bottles every time. And that's just so people realize, like, it doesn't matter what it comes in, the juice matters. But that didn't fly so well with the rest of the guys. So they have worked really hard. We all have, and there's a beautiful design coming. Daniel is just, honestly, he has just been phenomenal. I'm telling you, when it comes to some of these things, he gives us a few options, and we tweak it. But the guy is just phenomenal. I mean, he's done so much of this. He did the same thing for our idea for the oil field, and I didn't even touch marketing and branding. I'm an engineer. I nerd out on numbers and design and whatnot. He is just so good at this, and we're blessed to have him.
That's good. That is good. I think it's extremely clever. I think it's a great way. When you reached out, one of the messages that caught me is, would you like to talk to somebody who's trying to enter, break the barrier and get into such an overcrowded market of the tequila business? And it is, because as you said, one, I like how it says on the box, this isn't your, don't let a celebrity tell you what to drink. There are more celebrities who have gotten into the business, and all because one or two are really successful, and because of what they did, But,
Yeah.
you know, one or two of those actually did it because, like you, they really, really enjoyed the beverage that they were sitting around drinking and cheering, and they wanted to be part of that, and you know, that whole thing. But it seems like tequila is the way to go for a lot of these folks. And I don't know, is it just there's a plant out there, you know, a factory who's just like, you want tequila, here's the flavor profiles, you pick one of six of these and we'll slap it in a bottle and put your name on the label and you can call it your own. Because I've seen it from Rocks. Actually, I think it was Sammy Haggard, who was one of the first people
Mhm.
who got into the tequila business. If you don't know who that is, look up Van Halen. But he got in way before everybody else did, like a long time ago, because he was trying to come up with an agave, I think, you know, a really true agave based tequila, because he spent a lot of time down in Cabo. So he's like, I want to do this. And then after that, slowly, now there's probably 20, 30 different celebrities from the music industry to the film industry to whatever that have their names on a bottle of tequila.
Yeah.
And it's not that good, folks. It's really not that good.
I agree with that.
And some of them have gone to the gin business and other avenues too. But this, I will tell you, is this competes with anything that I top shelf. This is top shelf all the way.
I love it. I love to hear it. I had an interesting conversation with a guy last week who's our local representative for the distributor.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, my wife loves tequila. And so I gifted him a set. I said, man, share this with your wife. I want her to taste it. I want you to come back. And he came back last week. He said, man, I got to tell you a story. He said, my son brought over a $300 bottle of Clase Azul Gold. And Clase Azul is a beautiful bottle. I'm sure you've seen it. It's all white and blue painted. It's a beautiful
Mm-hmm. It's
bottle.
about that tall.
Yep. It's a tall one, and you
Yep.
take the top off and ring it, makes a noise, all that jazz. Anyway, I'm not a huge fan of the juice. I'm a fan of the bottle. It's absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that she had it and she just wouldn't stop talking about it. Well, then they did the tasting of our tequila. And afterwards, she said, you know what? I love Tequila de la Gente even better than I love this Clase Azul. And to me, that was just huge. You know, this is a name and a bottle that's all over the place. I mean, when I travel, and I love to travel, but when I
Mm-hmm.
travel, that's one of the 3 or 4 that you see on the very top shelf all the time because of the
Mm-hmm.
bottle. So to hear that our juice is up there competing or doing better, you know, than some of these others, that's a home run for us and our team. Struggle with this, you know, I have this one favorite. I have a personal favorite. You know, you have a personal favorite. What we've learned, we had this
Right.
really cool Zoom call, and we had a tasting that we hosted. New York, Austin, Mexico City, California, and I think Florida. And not everybody chose the same thing. We're affected also by the foods that we eat, our particular, you know, choice in culinary, you know, choices. And
Mm-hmm.
so I found that to be really interesting. And what we've seen is if you go on and vote today, we actually get that data. Daniel, I told you, he nerds out. He has a spreadsheet for this. And so he's keeping tabs on the winners. And it hasn't been one consistent winner. As we've opened it up to other regions, hey, this region ends up loving D. This other
Okay.
region.
Dude, since we're kind of glitching a little, I'm going to stop the video recording. So